cut off because the phone overheated. We'll talk about customs now. The customs agent that we had was pleasant gentleman, laid back,
English fluent.
I could tell that, you know, we were working with each other a little bit on a few words, but he definitely spoke English well enough that it made it, you know, easy to communicate. So we pulled off to the right, just past the border building, and pulled in to a little, it's just a little covered carport area.
As directed.
As directed. And we were in line. There were a few other cars that were getting inspected at the same time. And preemptively, we opened all of our doors, including the big ramp door to the trailer. And Mike pulled out the few carts that are kind of in the way a little bit at the back.
They're easily accessible at the back, and once you get them out, then you can walk into the trailer a good ways and really see what's in there. So we got those out so that they would have an easy access into their inside to actually step in and see what else was there.
This video might stop again. It's just too hot in the dash. Wonder if I could put a...
I think we should try to finish. We'll deal with that later.
Okay, so I had out my paperwork, my envelope paperwork, ready to show him if he asked, and gave him, first off, just my list, one-page list, which is just basically an overview in Spanish of all of the items that are mudarse a Belize, moving to Belize, transmigrante, and then the content list.
You might show them briefly our grade that we're about to drive. We're doing this while we're going down the road.
I can't switch directions doing it this way.
Alright. Sorry guys.
Interrupted.
We're about to grab a gear or two and pull this grade here.
We'll speak up to, so hopefully you can hear it over the engine noise. So we're about to climb. Alright, I also briefly showed him the second copy of the picture and itemization of each of the individual crates and toolboxes that we have. And he saw that there was also a corresponding photo and item list on each individual item. And kind of walked in there, looked around a bit, kept kind of doing like this half smile thing, which I'm used to when I present anybody in an official capacity. My idea of proper content itemization and declaration. So I'm used to it. And didn't open a single item. But I'm sure that's because all of his concerns that we were trying to hide anything or get away with anything were assuaged by the fact that I was overtly transparent, just over the top. So he didn't open a single thing. Did not even have the dog walk through it. They did take out our 2 personal suitcases out of the back of the Suburban, unzipped them, looked, zipped them back up, put them back in the Suburban. Now, I do think this is going to be very rare. I'm a little surprised it wasn't even more thorough with this over-the-top procedure I did. So it was great. But then he stepped back and did a little, so now I gotta tell you the bad news. And proceeded to explain what my research had also told me, which is that there are basically two ways to bring personal items through Mexico.
One is legal, the other is quasi-legal.
But what's legante, illegante? You know, it's what's legal, what's not legal. Who determines it? Well, the only important answer there is whoever is standing right next to you.
Whoever the
at that
enforcement
moment
agent,
in time.
Yeah. Whoever the enforcement agent is on site at the moment, that's who decides what's
decides
legal.
it. I mean, that's just how it is. It's no different pretty much anywhere you go. So
back to what he explained, though.
yeah, so he explained that the proper way to do it is to get a broker who specializes in transmigrants, individuals who are bringing personal items all the way through Mexico. Only certain brokers deal with that, and I would guess as I know it, there's only one in the whole Laredo area. I wasn't able to get in touch with her. So that means one broker that can legally do what needs to be done to get transmigrants through Mexico with their
one
personal
broker that's willing
belongings.
to. The whole point is that commercial freight is profitable. This hit or miss, very rare circumstance, transmigrant individual or small family that wants to cross, it's such rare business. There's no point in learning what you need to know in order to prepare the stuff as a broker.
Pay.
It doesn't pay.
And you can't really fault them for that. I mean,
Right.
like, why would you get into business for yourself and start a business that doesn't pay? You wouldn't. And so we asked, well, is there a broker here that does that? No. Do you know of a broker that does that? Yeah. Not terribly forthcoming on that. Never did get a name, but did find out that it would have to be Laredo, and it would have to be Bridge 3 in Laredo, which I believe is the commercial bridge.
Yeah.
So you would be grouped in with all the commercial freight that goes through brokers over the border.
Well, and he mentioned that there's problems at that border, especially with the commercial stuff. He
Right.
says you do that, and he said you're going to become a target. I think the implication is that there's leaks within the system, so anything that crosses through a brokerage hits certain people's desks in within the system there for handling all the inbound freight, and anything that is of interest, makes it back to the cartel guys that are like, okay, let's hijack this one. So, and he kind of intimated that you go that route, and he said you make yourself, you expose yourself to that risk. Yep.
So basically the process is you find that very rare broker, you pay that broker their brokerage fee to itemize everything that's in your trailer, in your truck, your vehicle,
And
You
prepare it to Mexico
prepare
standards.
it with all the documentation, itemize everything individually. It would probably look something like that, minus the pictures. And they put a seal on the trailer, and then in theory, you will not be bothered again until you get to the south border, the exiting border crossing. He implied you're still going to be bothered. He implied that you're still going to be harassed, pulled over, because they don't know what paperwork you do or don't have until they pull you over and ask to see it. And they're still going to want to inspect you. And
well, they're not supposed to be able to. But
well,
that
they can
doesn't
inspect
mean they
anything that's
absolutely
open.
won't.
They can still inspect anything
right.
that's open.
Well, he even said that they
And
might ignore
they
the
could
fact
break
that,
the seal.
Yeah, he said they can't, but he said they're not supposed to.
It's pretty much, and he's like, once you leave here, I can't, I can't speak for that. It's like, but I wouldn't recommend it, is basically the conclusion. So the second option,
I don't know if he was quite that hard on it, but yeah, he was. Basically, he said, I don't want to be difficult.
Yeah, I don't
so
want to be
here's what we'll
difficult.
do, and then he gave us option B.
So option B is that we pay import duty into Mexico for everything in our vehicle. But he gets to value it. He, as the customs agent, is going to value it, and he's going to value it very differently than a broker is going to value it, for obvious reasons. We're just, if you don't know those reasons, you don't need to know those reasons. But he valued our freight. Oh,
Don't call it freight.
I used to be a truck driver. I used to be a safety manager for a trucking company. Ignore that word. He valued our possessions, our personal possessions, our cargo, our personal cargo, very reasonably. And we paid 19% import duty on that. And we got a receipt that lists basically what's in there.
And we really ended up paying the same as we would have paid to. Yeah, we were told we could go. Right.
Told we could go.
But what we ended up paying, although technically it was import duty, which we should not have had to pay at all because we're transmigrants. The thing is we absolutely would have paid a broker to prepare everything. And so, although here we are paying a tax that we shouldn't have to pay, the total cost for us was about the same as using a broker, but it would have taken an extra day minimum. And then, honestly, it's a mixed bag of benefits and
so technically, it's a mixed bag, and you could argue it both ways about if it's more pros or cons one way or the other. But one way to look at it is that we just paid the Mexico government to be allowed through. Whereas if we'd gone to a broker, we would have paid about that same amount to a private individual, and they have whatever agreement they have with the Mexican government.
And or the cartels.
And or the cartels that we have no awareness of. So basically we paid about the same amount directly to the Mexico government to be allowed through versus an individual. And I can see how that might be viewed better at stops if you're being stopped by an actual federal employee, which you should only be stopped by actual legitimate federal employees. Anybody else beyond that, that's a whole different problem. So, all right, make sure that you're taking the right road here. It's telling us to go backwards. No, it's not. Okay. Sorry, guys. All right, we're gonna. I think that was it. We gotta kind of cut this one short because we've gotta make a turn up here in a few miles. Did I touch on the important stuff?
Yeah, I think so. So basically, he acknowledged everything that we had researched regarding and volunteered it without us even prompting him. That indeed there is a way to do this as a transmigrant traveler and not pay any duty at all on anything. But we were not exactly clear on whether or not a broker was required, so he cleared that up, and we've done enough research to know it's absolutely going to be like pulling teeth to find a broker. And I think the only way you would find a broker would be to literally go through the process we did this morning and have the guy tell you, here's a broker you can use, and then you'd have to leave. You'd have to spend at least a day working with the broker to get everything sorted. Right.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to come back and go, okay.
Or go through in the other border crossing, which I do think they force you to go through that one bridge 3, in Laredo. I've heard a story. I'll real quickly say this. I did hear a first account story of that exact thing happening. Somebody tried to cross with a trailer full of stuff at a smaller border crossing. They were told you have to go get a broker. They didn't even give them the second option, as far as I know. They went, found that broker. It took them a couple days to get all the paperwork done, and they were forced to cross at that specific border.
And I believe it's always going to be a big commercial crossing at that point.
And it's going to be busy. It's going to be a very busy crossing.
Yeah.
And there's some trouble in Laredo right now, and we didn't want to be anywhere near Laredo.